So this time of the year is around when a lot of people are starting to make their college decisions, and some people are probably narrowing it down to like maybe the last 2 schools on the top of their list. I go to UCSB and I'm a first year. I'm majoring in film and media studies and in philosophy, and I'm also planning on minoring in linguistics in the future. A year ago, I knew that I wanted to come to UCSB. It was my #1 choice, but for a lot of people, they aren't in that situation. They're still deciding whether or not to come to this school. They're still maybe deciding on whether to go to a UC in general, wrapped up in the stress and in sort of the fast-paced nature of committing to a school. And since this is a very stressful time, I thought it would be kind of useful to go over some of the pros and cons of coming to college, more specifically coming to UCSB. This is all just going to be really personal and anecdotal, and so I can't speak for everyone. I'll try to make it as general as possible. If you've done even just a little bit of research on UCSB, you'll know that everyone loves to talk about the weather, and that's because the weather is amazing over here. It's always sunny and within the 70-degree range. There's never been a day that's been too hot or too cold, in my opinion. If you pack some nice jackets, maybe a raincoat for every once in a while when it rains, and you're pretty much set. And the cloudy days aren't even that bad either. The weather really is just perfect out here. For every student, college is going to be super expensive, but it seems that UCSB is just like one of the most expensive schools in California, and I think it might be in the top 5 if I'm not mistaken. If you're living on campus, you're going to be practically guaranteed dorms if you're a freshman, but that's going to be about half of the tuition that you pay your first year. Your next years, there might be a little bit less that you have to pay because you're not living in the dorms, but now you have to worry about living off campus, which can be a completely different ordeal. The dining plan is also super expensive, and depending on whether or not you like the food, might not even be all that worth it. There's actually this really good site on the financial aid page that shows you more or less how much you're going to be paying per year depending on your circumstances. If you are from out of state or if you have different sort of situations that you're in, this will be a really good page to actually go and check out. If you don't have great financial aid, or if you didn't get a whole bunch of scholarships, that's probably something that you should be thinking about before deciding to commit to the school.
I'm in IV.
If you come to UCSB, you're also going to be a part of a community called Isla Vista. Isla Vista is like 1 mile of practically just students from UCSB and from Santa Barbara City College, all living in one spot. Ivy is such a nice place to live. There's a whole lot of food, grocery stores, and there's really some cool places to just hang out. Ivy Theater and Embarcadero Hall are both in Isla Vista, and you will most definitely be having classes there at one point as a student. If you plan on bringing your car, it's either going to be really expensive or really hard to park. A lot of UCSB students recommend that you don't bring a car in the first place, and that makes a whole lot of sense. If you're not going to be traveling a lot, or if you have friends who have cars, it's a little useless to bring your car. But if you do decide to bring it and you like sort of make use of it, you're either going to have to pay around $500 for a parking fee for one of the parking lots on campus, or you're gonna have to find parking in Isla Vista. It's not made for cars. There's a whole lot of pedestrians, there's a whole lot of cyclists. Cars are like nearly impossible to get around in if you live in IV. If you have a place in IV and you also have your car, you should expect to be sort of circling the block for a little bit just to find some good parking. My first year here was made amazing in no small part thanks to the amazing people who come to this school. The community is just vibrant, everyone here is lovely, and everyone here is just amazingly helpful. There's so much that you can do here, and there are so many sort of communities and clubs and organizations that you can become a part of. I personally found it really easy to make friends, but I know that some people who may find it a little bit harder to make friends might have some trouble. Even then, places like the UCSB subreddit are great places to find people to just hang out with. I mean, the subreddit is a place where you can sort of meet other students, talk to other students, and ask questions. And I've already seen a lot of prospective students coming in and asking current students a whole bunch of questions about the school. We also have a few Facebook groups, including the Free and For Sale, where you can sort of buy and sell some of your things. I've seen a lot of students like buying and selling bikes and calculators and textbooks and stuff, and it really feels like everyone has each other's back. If you try to look up UCSB's football team, you'll see that we don't have one. I know that a football team is a big plus for a lot of students going to college because it's something to really rally behind, something that gives them school spirit and gives them a sort of sense of identity. We don't have that traditional football team. We do have a great soccer team, and their matches are pretty fun to go to, and we have some nice traditions with the soccer team. But if you're looking for a football team, UCSB isn't going to have that for you. UCSB students are active, both physically and metaphorically. The rec center and a whole lot of the fitness centers are a great way to stay healthy and fit. We're actually really politically and socially engaged students. If you're getting into the activism world or into any sphere of politics at all, there will be a community here for you. UCSB students are actually also given a whole lot of leadership opportunities, even in the residence halls. You can register or sign up to be a part of hall council, and you can even ask your RA how to become more involved. And I even know a few first years who got their foot in and trying to be a part of Associated Students. Now, I personally don't have a problem with the dining hall food. I enjoyed it from time to time. Sometimes it wasn't that good, but I never really had that many gripes with it. I know some people who like go to Long Beach or go to UCLA say that the food in those places are way better and that UCSB food is subpar. Honestly, I don't see that.
The taqueria, you'll have like Mexican bakery, and my favorite part, they got the full ice cream bar.
My problem is with the meal plans. You have a set amount of swipes per week, depending on your meal plan. If you don't use all your swipes that week, those swipes are pretty much wasted. They don't roll over into the next week, and so that is actually pretty wasteful, I think, because a whole lot of students don't use their swipes. And it's actually not that easy to just change your meal plan. You can get a reimbursement and change your meal plan, but things can change quarter to quarter or even week to week. And so really having your meals roll over into the next week or having some sort of rollover system would greatly make the swiping in and the meal plans a lot easier to manage. It's also just really needlessly difficult to swipe guests in, because I know that in a lot of places you can just like swipe them in using one of your swipes. But if you have a guest over here at UCSB, you have to sort of write them down and like sort of like sign a little like sheet, and then they charge you later on, and it's just a process that's so needlessly complicated. And I know a lot of students are trying to change this, but this is the system we have in place, and I feel like it's a little bit wasteful. Chances are, if you're a college student, you're broke and or hungry, and the Associated Students Food Bank is there to meet both of those needs. Basically, every student qualifies to go get food at the food bank, and it's just an amazing resource to have on campus. In the University Center, near the back, you can just go in and more or less just shop. There's like ramen and canned fruits and regular fruits and drinks, and there's just a whole lot that you can get from the food bank. And if you're really struggling or worrying about food, food bank is covered in your tuitions. That being said, some other services aren't as useful or as efficient as the food bank. For example, CAPS is the Counseling and Psychological Services here on campus. And even though CAPS is a great service, among the students it really feels like it's backed up. Almost as if like there aren't enough members of staff for students at the school. Same sort of feeling with student health, except in order to use student health you have to have the school's health insurance. I know a lot of people have their private health insurance and they don't want to deal with the hassle of switching over to a school health insurance, and that just puts a lot of people out of care for the health building. I don't necessarily know how the health building works, but every sort of story that I've heard from the health building is that someone doesn't have the school's insurance and they couldn't get that great help from student health. I'll also add that the COVID-19 crisis has made it really easy to see how schools react to crises, and so if you're looking up to apply to a school, you should also look up how they responded to COVID-19 and how they treated their students, because a lot of schools have reacted pretty well and a lot of schools have reacted really poorly. And so this is actually a pretty good indicator of how a school, or like how prepared a school is for like any crisis. There's always something happening on campus. The Multicultural Center usually has one guest speaker or some presentation at least once a week from my experience. Over at Ivy Theater, they always are showing pretty recent movies for like $4. Arts and Lectures is also something that UCSB does. There's a whole lot of really influential guest speakers who come to the school, and it's pretty much happening all the time. I brought my car to campus, which ended up being pretty useful for me because I could go to the Target in Goleta. Now, Goleta isn't too far from Isla Vista or campus, but it's just far enough that it kind of necessitates you having a car. Distance from stores isn't really ideal. Yeah, there are some grocery stores in IV, but they are a little overpriced, and maybe you'd want to get out of IV to do some of your shopping. If you're bringing a car, it's probably going to be fine, but if you're not, it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. It's kind of closed off from the rest of the world in a sense, and so if you kind of want to sort of benefit from stores and local shops within cities, you won't really find that within campus or even Isla Vista. On the topic of location, Santa Barbara and Isla Vista does feel like its own little community. I mean, there's a gated entrance, and leaving, you have to take this little winding road to get out of campus, and it really feels like it's its own separate thing. Downtown Santa Barbara is about 20 minutes away, and so if you want your own sort of area where it's just students and it's just UCSB people, this is the school for you. It's not within a densely populated environment, and for some people that might be a pro because they sort of want to get away from the noise and just take some time to focus on their studies and relax. Now, other people might go crazy if they're not near a big city. You definitely don't have that hustle and bustle of a Los Angeles or of a Boston or of a New York over here in Santa Barbara. And yeah, the closest major city is Santa Barbara, but even then, it's about 20 minutes away. We do have an airport that's literally right next to the school, but if you are looking for traffic and city lights and hustle and bustle and a whole lot of movement of people, you're not really going to find that here. You have three options for getting around on campus. You have skateboarding, you have, God forbid, walking, or you can bike to class. Honestly, I absolutely love biking. It's freeing, it's fun, it's exciting. The bike pads make me feel like an 8-year-old. It's amazing. And so if you absolutely love biking like I do, UCSB is kind of going to be a dream for you. Everywhere on campus is accessible by bike. And so that means that if you have a class across from campus that you need to get to in 10 minutes, you can rely on getting there in 8. Just because biking is the most efficient way to get from point A to point B on campus. That being said, if you don't know how to ride a bike, or if maybe you're learning how to ride a bike, UCSB is going to be a little bit scary. The bike lanes do get filled. We do have rush hours. And if you don't know how to ride a bike, or you don't have a biking etiquette, like using your turn signals, or you're just too nervous to go fast enough on the bike pads, there's a chance that you will get in some sort of accident. I've been in a few bike accidents myself, and bike accidents just happen all the time. From people just not paying attention or not using their turn signals. And if that's something that is intimidating, then the bike paths are definitely going to be intimidating for you here. The quarter system is really hit or miss for some people. Some people absolutely thrive in the quarter system, and other people just can't handle the fast-paced nature of the quarter system. I personally absolutely love the quarter system because it doesn't feel like I'm being held back, but it also doesn't feel like I'm being rushed. For me, I feel like the semester system would have felt like it was dragging on too long, and that, I just want to move on to another class. If that fast-paced nature of the quarter system is something that you're looking for, then UCSB is perfect for you. Most of the other UCs also go on to the quarter system, and so if maybe you're not thinking about UCSB but another UC school, keep in mind that most UCs also commit to the quarter system, except for LA and Berkeley. For some classes like discrete math or even logic classes, it might be even more beneficial to take your time and take a semester with those classes. But personally, I love the quarter system and I wouldn't want my education at another pace. UCSB has a really laid back and chill feeling. One person said that it felt like you're staying at a resort, and that description is pretty good. If you're staying at one of the dorms and you basically have all of your meals just sort of prepared for you and you're by the beach, it definitely feels like you're just at a resort. The school is gorgeous and I absolutely love it here. That being said, if you're looking for a sort of antique, historic looking university, this isn't gonna have that same vibe. Yes, UCSB has a vibrant history, but it isn't the same sort of feeling as some East Coast schools would have. So if that's something that you find to be particularly important, you're not really gonna find that here. This is something that's gonna apply to just every college, I think, and that's dorm life. You will either love it or you'll hate it, or you'll be somewhere in between. Really depends on how you do socially. I like to consider myself to be a really social person, and so dorm life was pretty exciting and really fun for me. The first week of school, everyone just kind of left their door open and you can just walk in, introduce yourself, and make a whole lot of new friends in the dorms. I feel like it's an experience that a lot of people sort of want to have. I found it to be really satisfying and I made some of my closest friends in my dorm. If you don't want to see other people so often, yeah, you're just going to be seeing a lot of people at the dorms. You're going to have to talk to your RA every once in a while. You're going to have to look at your hallmates. And for a lot of UCSB dorms, you're going to have to share communal bathrooms with them. Yes, FT is a pretty social dorm, but you also kind of get your own bathroom. So if communal restrooms are your problem, these two dorm structures are probably going to be more for you. There also isn't any AC or heating, at least not in the dorms that I stayed at, but honestly, it was never a problem. Weather was always great, and I got myself a little fan if things ever did get too hot. There also isn't any AC or heating, at least not in the dorms that I stayed at, but honestly, it was never a problem. Weather was always great, and I got myself a little fan if things ever did get too hot. Santa Catalina dorms are the largest freshman dorms on campus. I think they house around 1/3 of the freshman population, and so it's pretty likely that you'll be living at FT. It's not the most likely. I think most of the students who are freshmen dorm on campus, but a good chunk of people do live in FT. FT is the nickname given to Santa Catalina. Everyone except for the RAs at FT call it FT. So if you're talking to like an RA or maybe like some administrator, they're gonna call it Santa Catalina, but everyone else calls it FT, just so that you don't get confused. FT dorms are a mile away from campus and they have a pool. They're made up of 2 towers, and instead of dorm rooms, they're kind of like suites. Have a room that's sort of divided into 2. There's most of the time 3 people on one side of the room, 3 people on the other side of the room, and these are 2 different suites, and they both share one restroom. If communal bathrooms are a problem for you, then you're gonna have your own bathroom basically. People have said that it's pretty easy to make friends if you live in FT, and if that's something that you're looking for, if you're looking to sort of be in the social dorm, then FT is going to be great for you. Apart from the pool and the sort of like social sphere around FT, you're also right next to Portola Dining Commons. People who live at FT will say is the best on campus. I disagree, but Portola isn't bad. FT is also pretty much in Isla Vista, and so if you want to head into IV, it's literally just a walk away. You can get on Lime scooters. So Lime scooters are scattered all throughout Isla Vista. The thing is, they're not allowed on campus. And so you can't really take your Lime from IV to your dorms if you're living on campus. You can, however, take your Lime scooter from anywhere in IV back to FT, because FT is practically outside of campus. So since FT is a mile away from campus, you're either gonna have to bike there, take the bus there, or that's pretty much it. Walking there is hell. If you like skate there, it's not as bad, but it's still a mile of skating just to get to campus. As soon as you get to campus, you still have to get to class. Since it's so far away, if you're having like a late night study session at the library, you are gonna have to bike all the way back home. Since you do have that sort of shared restroom, if that restroom is busy, you just can't go to the restroom. Yeah, you can ask people on your floor if you can use their restrooms, but I honestly find it a lot easier in the communal restrooms to just like go to the other stall. And a lot of people who live in FT also say that it feels like they're not really a part of the conversation, or that they're a little bit left out from campus activities just because they're off campus. And FT are also towers. So if you're planning on taking the elevator, but they're down for maintenance or they're full, you're gonna have to take the stairs. This decision is gonna feel like the most important decision in the world, but you still have to remember that every decision that you make from now until graduation is what's gonna make your college experience. College really is what you make of it. I'm personally super excited to spend another 3 years here at this school. Can't wait to see what else is in store. I hope this helped you make your decision. If you still have any more questions, feel free to DM me. I know that commitment day is like tomorrow because I procrastinated pretty hard on this video. But either way, good luck, stay safe, and thanks for watching.